All right, welcome back, welcome back. Going strong. These next three sessions I'm particularly excited about, and then we've got lunch ahead. So our next main stage session is called Understanding the Youth Sports Customer. We've talked a lot about this, right? Parents and kids as customers, how we understand our customers. Obviously, we've talked about the challenges around parents. And the perspective of kids being at best misunderstood and at worst completely ignored oftentimes is what it feels like. So these sessions we're going to take some time to get to better understand the people in our organizations, the people who we are meant to serve. And our speakers throughout all three parts of these sessions understand this concept better than anyone. So first, join me in welcoming to the stage Matt Young. Where's Matt? There he is. There we go. Matt Young is an expert in athlete development. He has extensive experience as an entrepreneur, and he had this radical idea he'll share more about. But what if we put the wants and the needs of kids first? Whoa. Mind-blowing right there. And what followed this radical idea was one of the most watched TED Talks on youth sports, as well as the consulting practice that he began. Welcome, Matt, and I cannot wait to hear you talk.
Thanks so much. How's everyone doing? Good sessions this morning, huh? On customer and understanding who the customer is. First of all, thanks, Brian and Jeremy, for calling me 3 weeks ago and saying, can you shoehorning me into this. It was fantastic. Met a lot of great people. I really appreciate it. First question I have for everybody here. I don't like to, who likes to be lectured? Put your hand up if you like being lectured. I don't like giving lectures. No hands went up. So I usually like to have an interactive conversation, and I have a conversation because that way we know you're getting something out of it. So I'm going to ask some questions. So if I see you on your phone, I'm going to ask you a question. If I see you look away when I'm looking at your eyes, I'm going to say, yeah, you, and ask you a question. So let's be attentive, and let's have some fun. I'll be quick. So put your hand up if you're in sales, first of all. Who in here is in sales? Put your hand up nice and high. Okay, perfect. We got about 50%. Put your hand up here if you have a job. Put your hand up nice and high. Congratulations, you are in sales. And the reason that that's important, although it sounds trite, is because if we don't understand we're in sales and we hear all of this great information that's happened over the last couple of days, and then we go home and we don't share it, then we become that pinch point in the hourglass. Okay? So we are all in sales, and if you don't like sales, because some people in sport, I'm from Canada, by the way, so some people go, oh, sales and sport, come on, we're not for profit. No, you're in sales, and if you don't like that word, you're in advocacy. If you don't like that word, you're in promotion. Okay, so we're all salespeople, and it takes between 6 and 20 points of contact to make a sale. So we heard yesterday about the baseball group that tried to get to MLB for, 6 years, and that was a sales cycle. That's real. And so the next question is, what are we selling in youth sport, or what should we be selling? This is a safe room. There's no wrong answers. What are we selling? You, yeah, what are you selling? Fun. No wrong answers. Fun. Experience. Dream. Relationships. What are we selling? Training. Life skills. Anyone else? Anyone else have something different? Growth. Okay, good. All those things, that's what we're selling. These are some, you're the 20-80 rule. Right? Does everyone know what the 20-80 rule is? 20% of the work, 80% of the work gets done by 20%. You're all here. So you are that 20%. So it's important that we realize we're all salespeople, first of all, and then second of all, we need to know what we're selling. I'm just going to say what we're selling. We should be selling development. And this is what development means. We're finishing the season better than we started across a mutually agreed upon development criteria. Pretty general. Is that good? Can everyone get behind that? We are in the business of selling development in the youth sport sector. Put your hand up if you can get behind that. If not, we can talk afterwards, and you can tell me what you think we're selling, and I'll probably agree, but I'd like us to all understand and go from here, a whole bunch of different thoughts, into here, and be crystal clear on what we're doing, okay? So let's have that lens of development. So why am I standing at the front of the room? Well, in 1997, I graduated from university. I was a dual sport athlete in university. I didn't want to stop with sport. You've heard all the great things about sport, changed my life as well. Coach changed my life. And I said, what am I going to do next? So we got into the personal training industry. I'm not sure if anyone knows about the personal training industry. Bar's pretty low, though. You can take a course on the weekend. Monday, open your shop. You're a personal trainer. It was Jenny and Johnny Abs. Look at me, be like me, etc. We said, no go. That's not what we want to be. We have to differentiate ourselves if we want to be successful in this business. It's this immature, unregulated business of personal training. So we said, look at 99% of people in the personal training industry focus on what? What do they focus on? The physical, lifting weights, doing cardio. What we're going to do is we're going to bake in the social, spiritual, emotional, intellectual. And we're going to do what's now called in 2023 transformational coaching. Has everyone heard of transformational coaching? It's not new. It's been hiding in plain sight by people beyond me forever, beyond the X's and O's. So what does that look like? We didn't have a pastor breaking bread with you after you worked out for the spiritual. What we had was every year we took 75 people to Machu Picchu. We took 125 people to the Grand Canyon. We had beginner, intermediate, advanced. So the advanced group went down first, all the way to the bottom, back up, intermediate, halfway down, back up, beginners a quarter of the way down, back up. When they got there, we gave them a letter from their spouse or significant other. And the letter shared what we should share with our spouses, which was how we felt about them. So there they are. They've had this big physical experience. They're getting this letter. They're reading it in front of 30 other people they don't know. What do you think that creates? Life-changing experiences. And that was our vision. Our vision and mission, you've heard a lot about it. Our vision was life-changing experiences. So when clients came to us, we said, what have you always wanted to do that you don't think you can? Or what have you always wanted to do that you've never prioritized? And then we did it. The gym became a conduit to those experiences. So running across the Sahara Desert, et cetera. So this might sound airy-fairy. Well, I just want to come in and work out, lose 10 pounds, get a bigger chest or biceps. That wasn't who we were. So if you came in to us for that, we referred you to somebody who would do that. Okay, so think about that, because how does that translate into youth sports? When some parents or some families want to come to get their 8-year-old on the all-star team. Okay, just think about how that works. So does it work? Well, by 40, we'd gone to 5 continents. We went into communities. We raised about $250,000 a year for communities because we would get all the nutritionists, the chiropractors, the physios together, and instead of competing with each other, we'd say, we have a clientele base. They're going to get injured. We want to send them to you. Then we want to know how to better train them when they come back. So we created a community. The bike shop. We're going to take people, and we're going to show them how to bike. So we want you to sell them bikes. So the bike shop owner would do $250,000 in sales in 1 year. So from an economic standpoint and an actual standpoint, this works. Like, it works. Like, look at some of the experiences that we had running across the Sahara Desert. If you look at the top right-hand corner, we trained Marcus Naslin and Todd Bertuzzi when they won the scoring championship in the NHL. Our same philosophy that we used for a 98-year-old grandmother, we used for Todd Bertuzzi, and we made it fun. Okay? So awesome times, rode across the country, raised, best part about that, you know, if money is your denominator of success, it's not my currency. $100 million in training sales over 20 years. We gave $6 million away to charity, and it was all around kids and sport in our province and in our community. Okay? So values, you heard a lot about it today. Legacy, excellence, those are some of our values in giving back to the communities that we serve. So great business, loved it. We basically professionalized, and I have these slides basically to keep me on track because I have ADD. So that's why they're there. We professionalized the immature service business. And you know where this is going because youth sport is an immature service business. And in Canada, we have to remind people that it is, in fact, a business. Well, we're not for profit. Well, you're still a business. Anytime you're exchanging products or services for money, you are a business. So we have to act like a business. And I really like this whole theme of professionalizing the business of youth sport. So that's what we did. So we professionalized that personal service business. We prioritized the clients first, and we've heard a lot about it. People first. It's people first. Something that should have, and I hope jumped out at you this morning, was when she talked about high touch and high tech. We hear it a lot of time in sports. There's a big, big focus on high tech and how tech's going to influence sport. And I'm not saying it's not, but it's not going to be as effective if we don't have the high touch, that human connection that you've heard about all morning. Because people want to be heard, seen, valued, respected. I hope everyone wrote that down because it's the truth. We all know it. It's stating the obvious. So we invested heavily in our people. And that was our training coaches first. We weren't interested in people who were just going to be personal trainers and do whatever they wanted to do. We had a system, and they had to come in and they followed the system. How do we know we had the right people? Because the right people follow the right system. There's no crystal ball. It's when they come in, are they going to subscribe to your values? Are they going to live your values? So it's people first and consumers first. And that's one thing that we can do a much better job of in the youth sports sector, is understanding that it's people first. We've heard a lot about crazy parents. And while I agree there are crazy parents, it's largely a function of your or our inability to engage, share the values, create the system that those parents can then say yes or no, and then remove those parents if they're not following our system. That's what it is. It's on us. We've had it. I've done it. This isn't for you. Sorry. Here's your money back. See you later. It's not what we're about. So think about people first. Think about how we can do a better job of elevating people first and making sure that they're at the center of everything that we do in the Youth Sports Summit. Youth Sports System, obvious. That's me being Captain Obvious. But it's simple but not easy. Okay? So then we transitioned to sport. I coached all year round for 20 years. I've coached 30,000 coaching hours, a variety of different sports. And when we came to sports, we said, everyone's focused on one thing, the technical, tactical competence. Speed, whatever your sport is, batting, catching, pitching, etc. So that's what it's about. Let's go, let's go, let's go. But we've heard sport is such a greater conduit to life and success. So what we did with the help of a lot of academics is we said, okay, there's confidence, character, connection, and culture. All big words. How do we actually operationalize that? So what does that look like? And there's a lot of slides because I'm going to take you through in about 2 minutes from now a great example of an organization that's done that. So operationalized the soft skills or power skills of sport. Okay, so this is our competition in sport. It's not the neighbor. It's not who you're competing. It's not who you're playing against next week. This is the sport participation competition. Lack of free play, lack of fundamental movement skills, marginalization of physical education, lack of quality coaching, early sport specialization, technology, no fun, parents, access, and cost. This is generalization. This is from around the world. We've worked with 8 Olympic federations: Norway, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, Austria, Lithuania, the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, NHL, PGA. We've worked with large organizations and small organizations. This is the competition. So if we're building technology, if we're doing a high-touch, high-tech, we have to know what the competition is, because it's not the people down the street. It's this. And there's probably more to this. Okay? This is the sport management gap. So typically, we have a volunteer president or even paid or executive director, and they're responsible for the 6 key stakeholders: players, parents, officials, administrators, board and staff, coaches, maybe even volunteers as well. Okay? Then they're responsible for managing things like culture, sales and reporting, human resources, DEI, stakeholder journey mapping, sports safety. And this drives participation in player development. Do we see where the gap is? We've been everywhere in the world. No one's created an operating system for sport. Nobody. Not the International Olympic Committee, not FIFA, nobody. It's always somebody else's job. And if it's always somebody else's job, we're just getting, it's roll the dice. You could have somebody that understands business, understands the operation of business, or you could have someone that's just volunteering because they're just volunteering. But it's incumbent on us, on somebody, to step up and lead and provide that operating system. That's what we've done for a lot of organizations. Okay? So this is the gap. This is a behavior change process. What do we do every year? We turn on the faucet, hope people register, get the teams on Thursday. By Saturday, there's a first practice, and then we're off to the races and the chaos begins. That's the usual, typical sports system from where I'm from. And again, I'm generalizing. If you do it better, don't shake your head and go, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm generalizing. If you're doing it differently, awesome. But this is typical, and we can't continue to do this. Okay, so great article on Fast Company wrote called Change or Die. They gave, I think, 100 people an opportunity that were going to die to have personal trainers, to have nutritionists, to have everybody. 99% took the advice, took all of that stuff, and then as soon as it was done, they went right back to where they were. Change is really hard. One doctor said, instead of tempting people with, you're going to die if you don't do it, Tell them how great it's going to be, how great their lives are going to be, and increase the percentage of uptake. Okay, great article. Strongly recommend that you read it. Change or die. And we have to do this in the youth sports system, or else we're going to be in trouble. The two biggest things we see that are issues in the youth sports system are capacity and expertise. Does anyone watch Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay? Ever seen it? Same shtick every single time. Someone that's super passionate about restaurant and food, builds a restaurant and food. At some point, someone's gone sideways. They're losing money. Everything goes downhill. They call in Gordon Ramsay. What does he do? He shows up. He does an audit of the front end and says, okay, this is what's happening. This is what we need to do. He goes into the back end. What's going on in the chef in the kitchen? Oh, my God, this chicken needs to be thrown out. And he raises holy hell. His team renovates it, and then they come back in. If you don't have the expertise, go find it. And this is what this is great for. Go find it. That's what we need to do in youth sport too. And so I love the idea of your pitch to Netflix about sports system. I think it should be called Youth Sport Nightmares, because someone could go in and show what the system, where the gaps and opportunities are in the system. Okay? We worked with the PGA. They had the PGA, LPGA, PGA Tour, Augusta, and USA Golf. 5 entities that were competing for the same client. We learned from them that there are 4 tenets to any quality sport operating system that really help and enhance, attract, retention, and growth. Organizational alignment, disciplined project management, stakeholder connectivity, and an integrated operating environment. I'm going to go through those really quickly because I see I've got 35 seconds, but I'm going to go over. So first of all, organizational alignment. That's your culture. Everything starts with culture. Culture is queen. Culture is king. If you don't have that, if it's not communicated, how do you do that? That's what we help with. Disciplined project management. People have to be responsible for different jobs. Every team we coach, we went in and we said, parent X, parent Y. We would get to know the parents. Okay, we wouldn't say, who wants to be treasurer? John holds up his hand. Okay, John, you're treasurer. Well, why? We would find out who is the CPA, who has financial background. We would get to know our parents and our clients as clients, and then we would task them with the appropriate jobs. If someone was in sales, they would be in charge of sponsorship. So those are great ways that you can engage your clientele and be more intentional about it, and you heard that, and you've heard that over the last 2 days, okay? Stakeholder connectivity. How do the parents, players, officials, coaches, and administrators come to the same page? Because right now, we treat people like intellectual silos, 24-hour rule. We do everything for people not to communicate and not be on the same page unintentionally that we can. So we really need to get those stakeholders connected and aligned, and that is what we do as part of the process. An integrated operating environment, how does that all work? Okay, so what we've done is we have periodized the operations of a season. It starts with the environmental scan. Minimum 8 weeks before the season starts, you're sending out questionnaires to every single stakeholder. We already know what every single stakeholder values. We're asking them 1 to 10 to give us back. Kids, fun, friends, fair play, friendly competition, finish the season better than we started. 1 to 10, how are we doing? Because that gives us a baseline. We can't talk about development and say we're about development if we're not taking a baseline. I don't care if you're an academy. I don't care if you're just a general community sport organization. You must baseline everybody, and that includes yourselves. Okay? So kids have to go through, and in baseball, we would say, okay, let's grade these kids on how they can bat, pitch, run, catch, throw. And we're going to give them a score out of 5, aggregate that score, and then that's how we're going to balance the teams. So there's no more stacked teams, no more nonsense. And then mid-season, we would review that. And then at the end of the season, we would review that again. What does that do? Anyone, what does that do? What does that do? Yeah? Tracks the progress. So instead of 1 winner, how many winners do we have? Many winners, right? Seems easy, but it has to be organized. Okay? So all of these tenets we have dove into and really broken apart so that we can help you as organizations really operationalize your business of youth sport. I'm going to go quick here. We created a coach development course. And the coach development course is all around how, as a coach, do you deliver the 5 C's? Because all player development begins with coach development. And you've heard over and over again, there is no coach development. So we work with universities and communities to localize that. and we help them become the leaders of their own coach development. We have a club operating system. It's digitized, okay? You heard the SoulCycle founder talk about this morning. This is all focused on people development, organizationally, okay? So communications, we know what's gonna happen. First day of the season, first practice, what do we got? We've got placements. So how are we messaging parents about how they can understand how to communicate placements and athletes? So we've created communications for each stakeholder. Week 1, placements. Week 2, discussing where it is that you ended up and how you can set goals for your season no matter where you ended up. Week 10, tournaments. What are tournaments about, coaches? They're bonding experience. Here's 20 activities that you can do to have the bonding experience. Parents, don't get shit-faced with the coaches. It's not going to end well, okay? Players, understand this is your first foray away from your parents. Here's how you should behave. Here are the expectations. Everything that you would need, player development contracts, parent development contracts, everything's in there, okay? So we have access to all of the people development tools and resources that you need to help run your business. Okay, communication, number 1 issue in sport, your purpose. How many people here have a very clear purpose, vision, mission, and values that are lived? Meaning, if I went into your organization and asked one of your coaches, what are the values, what's your purpose and vision and mission, they would be able to tell me. Put up your hand. Nice and high. Okay, perfect. That's where it starts. So we help people as much or as little as they need. It's written out, you can do it yourself, or you have to hire an expertise, but people, it starts there, and it starts with culture. You've heard of that, okay? And then we have a sport business management program where we take people through 12 weeks of how to be a real sport leader. So that's all of the things that we offer. I just want to go through this really quick. This is an example from Tennis Canada on how they operationalize their player development. So they wanted to operationalize their long-term player development. They called it the whole player development pathway. These are all the steps that they went through. Develop a consensus on the skills that were applicable to each development stage, provide definitions for those skills, create evaluation rubrics, initial, emerging, and competent, create 3 to 5 coaching tips on how to coach that development, introduce and onboard coaches to that whole process, and create a digital application that brought it together. Organizational alignment, discipline project management, stakeholder connectivity, integrated operating environment, okay? So at 5 years old, what are we measuring in culture? Behavior, respecting teammates and safety. Instead of not doing it at all or wondering why kids are toolboxes, why not be intentional about helping these young kids develop as they're going through their season, just like you would with all the technical, tactical skills. Okay, so social emotional connection, doing what is right. These are all defined by the Tennis Canada group, and then it goes to the coaches, and each kid gets a report card of their progress as they go on. Okay, so defining behavior, using age and stage appropriate language and engaging in appropriate actions with and towards others. So every one of them is defined. Step 3, we did it for the entire long-term athlete development pathway and progression. And this is big. And anyone who knows sports is looking at this going, holy shit, that's big. This is a big deal. Cutting edge, okay? So transitioning to pro tennis. We're talking about different things than we're talking about in the early stages of growth and development. Okay, this is the same thing we did with the PGA of America. You're going to start to see this because we have to start to see this. We can't just keep going and doing the same old that we've always done. Okay, so these are the evaluation rubrics for their entire development journey across all the soft skills and technical, tactical. And then how do we get the coaches to coach that? So here are 3 tips that you can give to the coaches on how we're going to coach culture and that definition of behavior. 3 tips. So now we're being intentional about how we drill down into the coaches so that we have better coaches and they're more supported. It's on a digital platform, so everyone can access it, and we can know which coaches have and haven't gone on it. Accountability, one of the things that's really missing in youth sport. And then step 6, it's on the app. This app is a player-centric app, meaning the player and parent own the development data. They can show up to game day. Hey, how am I in sleep, screen time, nutrition? The coach gets all that aggregate data, and they can make the necessary steps. So that is an example of integrated operating environment, All organizational alignment, all coming together from start to finish. It took 1 year to do that for Tennis Canada, and other organizations are going to follow suit. Okay, I've gone way over time, but I just want one takeaway that you've taken away from, first of all, thank you for listening. I just want one takeaway that you've heard from this that you're going to take into your practice and improve. And you can just yell it out, or I'll point at you. One takeaway. Being intentional, one takeaway.
Your coach development, cycle.
Coach development cycle. Accountability.
Put my values up front.
Values up front. Over the back corner. Anyone, one takeaway.
Selling development.
Yes, thank you. Over there, anyone.
We're all in sales.
We're all in sales, thank you. Everyone, enjoy the rest of the conversation. Appreciate you. You can connect with us at any time. I'm happy to say we were just recognized by Inc. As B2B business partners. Connect with us anytime, and we'll get back to you shortly. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Love that.